Feels like nobody outside this fan base is giving this team a real shot right now. And honestly, that's exactly when Cleveland plays its best football. The schedule is finally out, the matchups are looking interesting, and there are actually a lot of reasons for Browns fans to feel fired up about what could happen this season. Some people are sleeping on this roster, but if a few things start clicking early, this team could surprise a lot of people real fast. Now, hit that like button if you're riding with the Browns this year, and drop a "Here we go, Brownies" in the comments if you're locked in for the season. Browns fans, the NFL may have quietly handed Cleveland one of the biggest opportunities in the entire league, and when you really start breaking down this 2026 schedule, the path for the Browns suddenly looks a lot more favorable than people want to admit. Everybody spent the offseason talking about quarterback drama, roster turnover, and the uncertainty surrounding this team, but almost nobody is focusing on the advantages Cleveland was just given after the full schedule release. The first thing that jumps out immediately is the strength of schedule. Cleveland officially landed one of the easiest schedules in football based on opponent win percentages from last season, and history already showed how important that can be. Teams that get favorable schedules often make massive jumps in the standings, and now the Browns are sitting in position to potentially take advantage of exactly that scenario. The biggest stretch everybody should be paying attention to comes after the bye week, because it almost feels scripted perfectly for this football team. Right after the bye, the Browns get 3 straight home games against the Raiders, Bengals, and Falcons. Not only that, but every single one of the final 7 opponents on Cleveland's schedule had losing records the previous season. 7 straight games against teams that struggled last year is something very few teams in the NFL ever get handed, especially late in the year when playoff races start heating up. That timing matters because, by then, offensive coordinator Todd Monken should have a much clearer understanding of what this offense actually is. That could become a huge factor for a Browns team trying to establish a new offensive identity. Monken has always been known as a coach who adapts his system to the players he has rather than forcing players into a rigid scheme. And by Week 10, Cleveland should finally know its strengths, weaknesses, and which quarterback gives them the best chance to win consistently. The bye week then gives the staff a reset before attacking the softest stretch of the schedule. That is where things could suddenly get dangerous for the rest of the AFC if the Browns are still hanging around the playoff picture. And when you look even deeper into the numbers, it gets more interesting. Cleveland only faces one offense ranked inside the top 12 from last season. One. That means Jim Schwartz and this Browns defense are going to spend most of the year attacking offenses that struggled badly in 2025. The Raiders, Titans, and Jets were all near the bottom of the league offensively, and those are exactly the kind of matchups where Myles Garrett and this defensive line can completely take over games. Think about what the Browns' defense had to deal with last season. They were constantly thrown back onto the field after quick offensive possessions and still managed to keep games competitive for long stretches. Now imagine that same defense playing weaker offenses while also getting more support from a more balanced, methodical offense under Monken. Suddenly, Cleveland may not need to score 35 points every week to stay in games. The defense alone could keep them alive long enough for the offense to figure things out. Then you move to defensive efficiency rankings for Cleveland's opponents, and once again, the numbers favor the Browns. Several of the defenses they'll face after the bye ranked near the bottom of the league, including Cincinnati, Indianapolis, and Las Vegas. That means Cleveland's offense could be getting favorable matchups exactly when the season enters its most important stretch. And this is where all the new additions become incredibly important. The Browns added multiple offensive pieces through the draft and free agency, including Casey Concepcion, Denzel Boston, Spencer Fano, and several offensive linemen that are expected to strengthen protection and improve consistency. If those additions start clicking later in the year, Cleveland could suddenly become a much tougher team to defend than people currently expect. And of course, the biggest storyline hovering over everything remains the quarterback situation. There is already growing excitement around the possibility of Shedeur Sanders eventually taking over if the opportunity presents itself. A favorable late-season schedule would be the perfect environment for a young quarterback to gain confidence, especially if the Browns remain competitive entering December football. The idea of Sanders heating up late in the season while facing struggling defenses is exactly the kind of scenario Browns fans are starting to dream about right now. Even the offensive line matchups favor Cleveland. Several opponents on the schedule had terrible offensive line rankings last season, including the Jets, Titans, Panthers, Ravens, and Raiders. That should have Browns fans thinking about one thing immediately: Myles Garrett. If Garrett gets consistent opportunities against weak protection units, another monster sack season could absolutely be on the table. And this time, if the offense holds up its end, those defensive performances may finally translate into meaningful wins instead of frustrating close losses. So now the question becomes very real. Did the NFL accidentally create the perfect setup for Cleveland to surprise people in 2026, especially if the quarterback situation stabilizes and this defense plays the way everyone knows it can? What do you think the Browns' record will be this season? Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, leave a like if you're excited about the Browns this season, and click the video on your screen right now for more Cleveland Browns news and updates. The fastest Browns coverage and breaking news is right here.